Hello everyone, I am back with a new recipe since it's Easter season and something that's famous on Good Friday is the hot cross buns. So I thought I would come up with my version of the recipe. These are very simple and easy to make with simple ingredients hopefully lying around in your kitchen. If not, we can always improvise and compromise on the recipe. So here it goes. First, we have around 3.5 cups of flour, which is approximately 500 grams of all-purpose flour. Then I have 2 tablespoons of flour separate. I have butter, which is 4 tablespoons. It's around room temperature to slightly melted. We have half cup of mixed berries. Now I have cranberries, I have grapes, and so basically you can use any mix of berries, whatever you like. You can also use tutti frutti, you can use pineapple bits if you want, but I have cranberries, I have large grapes, and I have the smaller raisin grapes as well. Then I have half a cup of sugar, normal white granulated sugar. I have a zest, which is a pinch of lemon zest and a pinch of orange zest as well, with around 1/4 teaspoon of lime juice. And then I have these spices. So here is freshly ground nutmeg, it's just like a pinch. Then I have 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, and I have 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom powder. In this saucepan I have half a cup of granulated sugar, and I have half a cup of water. I have my instant yeast, which is 1 sachet, 11 grams. So firstly, all of these ingredients that you see here go inside the buns. What you see here in the saucepan, the sugar is for the glaze. That's why there are 2 sugars in the recipe. But this sugar will be in a saucepan, and we'll be adding 1/4 cup out of this half cup of water to make a sugar syrup. I'll show that a bit later. And the other 1/4 cup will be going into the all-purpose flour, which is the 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to make a slurry, which I'll show what will it be used for later. Also, I have a little bit of olive oil that can just be required for the bread in particular, to knead the bread. So we'll start our recipe by first adding all the dry ingredients to our stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can put this on a clean kitchen table, and you can mix all the ingredients, and you can do it with hand. So the next thing that I'm going to add is the sugar. Now I've taken half cup sugar. You guys can take a little lesser if required. I'm adding all the spices, which is the nutmeg, cinnamon, cardamom, and also I'll be adding the yeast. I've added all the dry ingredients including the yeast into my stand mixer, and I'm going to turn it on and let all the dry ingredients mix a bit. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can mix all of these ingredients on your kitchen platform and then start kneading it. Dry ingredients have been mixed. Now I'm going to incorporate the milk batch by batch. I'll not add all the milk at once. We mix, make sure and see. Around 1 cup of milk already, and the mixture is slightly crumbly, so I'll add a little bit more, probably another half a cup, but I'll add it in batches. This solely depends on how your flour is. Sometimes a few all-purpose flours are a little dry and they require a lot more of the nourishment than required. So after incorporating 1.5 cups of milk, this is what the texture is. It's very sticky at the moment. So next stop, as we discussed before, it's going to be the fat. So I'm adding the butter, but this is not completely melted. It is semi-solid. It's 4 tablespoons of butter. And this will make a very rich and soft dough. So we'll mix it. At this point, I can also add in the zest and lime. These are just flavoring agents. You can increase or decrease or even omit if not required. But the hot cross buns traditionally have this flavor. I've mixed the dough for a good 5 to 7 minutes on a medium speed. Now the dough is almost ready. Just the final step, which is adding all the dry fruits. As I said, you can add whatever fruits you like. Cranberries, you have currants, if you have pineapple pieces, tutti frutti, raisins, whatever you like. So we just give it a good mix. Okay, so now everything has been incorporated very well. Now I'm just going to butter the surface a bit, and also my hands. I'm going to just grease them a bit and remove this dough on the platform and knead it a bit. Okay, so the dough is firm and good to go. I greased the surface a bit, and I also kneaded it just a bit with my hand to see how the texture was. And now I'm gonna get it into a nice roll and place it in a bowl to proof. I've greased the bowl with some oil, and now I have this round dough ready, and I'll just take it and place it into this bowl and cling wrap it, and I will let it double in any warm area. Preferably I'll just keep it to let it double, so it should come up till here and outside, and that's when it's ready. Put on the stuff for the sugar. So there's half cup sugar, and now I'm going to add 1/4 cup of water, which is going to be half of this, and I will let it simmer on medium to low flame, and I'll bring it to boil, and once the syrup is thickened, we just stop and keep it aside. It is worthy to note that we should not mix a sugar syrup quite often. This basically crystallizes the syrup, which we don't require. We need a nice and soft sugar syrup. So we let it boil on a very medium to low flame until all the sugar dissolves, and if it doesn't dissolve after a while, we can mix it or stir it a bit, but if not, we should let it dissolve on its own. While our sugar syrup is boiling, what we can do is we can take our all-purpose flour, the 2 tablespoons, and the remaining water, and we can slowly add it to this. Don't add all at once, just add a little at once and make a nice slurry out of it. Slurry is ready. We should try and mix it very well so that we don't have any lumps in it. Also, I think our sugar syrup is also ready. Now that the sugar is dissolved, I will give it a nice mix, and we are just checking for the thickness. So we'll let it boil a bit, at least until it's become almost its half, but let's not boil it too much, just until it's become its half, and then we keep it aside. We just remove it off the flame and keep it aside until we have to use it to glaze the buns. Right, so it's almost been 45 minutes and my dough has doubled. Now I'll just remove the cling wrap, and I will pull the dough out on a clean and greased surface. So the dough will be very soft. We don't want to punch it. We don't want to release all the gas. We'll just remove the dough and slightly tap it. So I have removed the dough on the surface, and I have oiled it just lightly. You can use any oil, or you can even use butter if you prefer to, but I prefer to use oil. I'm just pressing it out lightly, and now I'll bring in the dough, making it a tight roll. And I will pinch the dough. Be sure to pinch it well so that it doesn't open while we are rolling. We basically want it to be closed and a proper loaf kind of shape. And I'll elongate it a bit. And there we have it. The dough is ready now. Now we will cut it from the center and we'll make pieces out of it. This is completely optional if you want to weigh each and every piece and then get like proper buns, or you can just eyeball and cut accordingly. So I will cut these buns using a scraper like last time. Don't try to tear it out with your hand, because then it's very uneven and you cannot get good circles. So first I'll portion them and we'll get back to shaping. Okay, so as you can see, I've done 12 pieces and they are 90 grams each. I have weighed each and every one. So now I'm just gonna flatten them and pull them to the center. And just turn it around, get a smooth surface and just roll it to make a nice round shape. And there we have it. And I'll roll all of these and then line them up on a baking tray. Now as you can see, I have practically rolled all of my buns. Now I will be placing them on a baking tray in which I wish to bake, and I would let it rest for another half an hour to 45 minutes so that they double in size, and then they are good to bake. Buns are all lined up. I had lined the tray with a little bit of oil and butter paper, and now I have placed these and I will let them double in size. It will take around 45 minutes. So once they have doubled, and then we could bake them. Okay, so as you can see, they have almost doubled. It's been an hour since I've kept them to rise, so they have risen nicely now, as you can see. And now the next thing you do, it's optional, but if you would like to, I would be brushing these with a little bit of milk. Also at this point in time, I would put my oven to preheat at 180 degrees Celsius and let it preheat for 10 minutes. So I would brush each and every one very carefully so that we don't remove the gas that's been filled inside the bread. We should keep in mind not to brush it too much, because then it just releases the gas inside and we don't want that to happen. We want the dough to stay plumpy. Now the final step is to fill the paste what we had made with the all-purpose flour and water. It's a thick paste which we had made. I have put it in a piping bag, and now I'm going to pipe across on top of these, on top of the buns. So okay, so I have crushed all the buns with the all-purpose flour and water mixture, and now I'll be baking these at 180 degrees, a preheated oven, for say around 15 minutes or 20 minutes, until the bread has become golden on top and it's hard to touch on top. Okay, so our beautiful hard crust buns are out of the oven, and I have kept them to cool down for say around 10 to 15 minutes. Now the final step for this is to glaze it. So I've just taken a brush with the glaze and I would just be generously glazing them to give it a nice shine and beautiful color. And there we have it, a beautifully glazed hard crust bun, ready to relish.